Due to possible harmful extremist content, parental discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of the station, its affiliates, or advertisers. The use of the show is only allowed with the express written permission of the producer and the host. So get ready for 2 hours of the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show starting right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show, Sunday night edition for February 8th, 2026. And it is an honor to have each and every one of you out there listening in. I am your host, Censorship Sucks, and tonight we're going to have some fun, go through a little bit of news, hang out, and just take a break from the world. Get into this Sunday night and gosh, just enjoy, whatever part of the country you're in. I know it's all over the place. The East Coast is still locked into that real cold weather. I saw in New York, it's supposed to get down to single digits tonight, just bitter cold, big wind chills, the whole 9 yards. And the city is still just a skating rink. I was watching videos from just 2 days ago of the sidewalks, and they're plowed out by one shovel's width, and everything on either side has just been walked down to death. So it's packed down, icy. When it gets brutal cold like this, that ice just gets hard and slick, and man, it's so easy to fall down and crack your hip on that stuff. So be safe. Out here on the West Coast, hate to say it, but just another day in paradise. Today was friggin' beautiful. Just beautiful. Almost 80, sunny. Just can't beat it. So, you make your bed each winter and you live in it. Unfortunately, I wake up and mind out here in the Southwest. But as we speak, the Winter Olympics are kicking off in Italy. All kinds of stuff going on there. America racking up some medals, Canada, you name it. A lot of pride in everyone's countries, a lot of people out there celebrating their heritage, their roots, competing for their countries as they've dreamed of since they were little kids. And, one person in each discipline walks home with that beautiful, beautiful gold medal. And that's what it's all about. I saw one American patriot up there listening to the national anthem, and she just broke out in tears, and I nearly did too. I mean, it's just so amazing to see someone with that much patriotism stand up there as the national anthem rings and the flag waves behind them, and they get that gold. And it's just, I know if I ever had that opportunity and I stood up on that podium, I'm not going to tell you, you wouldn't see a tear coming down my face as I stood there in, contemplation of the achievement that I had just earned. So it's a beautiful thing, and it means a lot to many, many, many people that are competing. And then there are a few who are showing their disdain for America on a global scale. A couple of members of the U.S. men's ski team, the freestyle team, probably snowboarders, no offense to snowboarders, but probably, who are saying that they're kind of ashamed to walk around with the red, white, and blue, with the stars and stripes on their shoulder around the Olympic Village. That it's sort of, embarrassing, that the world looks down on them. And to that I say, then take it off, go home. Take off your jacket, go home, don't compete, we don't need you, we don't want you. If you don't love the country you're competing for, then go home, move to another country, compete for them. Russia would be happy to let you join their Olympic freestyle team. You would be the centerpiece of their Olympic freestyle team. They would build you private parks to your specifications, anywhere you ask, and pay you good money, I'm sure, to see you defect from America and compete for Russia. Of course they would. And I just remind these kids, there was another lady, let's see, she is, what discipline is she? who vows to use her platform to support the queer community. Okay, fine. But guess what? You guys are Americans. You have the right to come out and say whatever you want on the world stage. And nobody's going to say boo. You're not going to go home and get thrown in a gulag. You're not going to be penalized. Your family isn't going to be punished as you are off overseas. You suddenly say the wrong thing and your family is taken away that an hour later. They're just gone. If you're competing for China and you stand up there and say derogatory things about the country of China, your family's not going to be there when you get home. And in their place will be the Gestapo, the secret police, whatever you want to call them, waiting for you to have a nice long talk. Because it's not allowed. The things that they're fighting for, they're arguing about ICE. Every country in the world has a way that they deal with illegal immigration. Every single country on the planet has borders, and they defend their borders in one way or another. Many of them, no one wants to go there. How much money do you think Rwanda, for example, is spending on defending their borders from people trying to break in and live for free there off the government's largesse? Live off the government teat, so to speak, in Rwanda. Nobody. There's nobody, because the government doesn't have two sticks to rub together, so there is no welfare state. And that's the difference here. We've got a country everybody wants to be part of. So when you're on that world stage and you say these things, you're speaking to 7 billion people across the planet. And they all hear you and say, wow, you're in America and you're ashamed of being an American because your country's deporting people who are there illegally, going after criminals first? And why would you have a problem with this? Every single country in the world does this. My country does this. Every country I've been to does this. No one on the planet can just pick up, go to another country, move in, and file no paperwork, do nothing, just show up and start hanging out. And, oh, you do file paperwork. Maybe you file for unemployment, for food stamps, SNAP, all that good stuff, healthcare, but not a job. And they're not going to kick you out. They're not going to send you back to wherever you came from? Of course they are. There's some beautiful countries out there. Costa Rica comes to mind. I'd love to go live in Costa Rica for a few years. I think it'd just be an amazing experience. But I can't just show up, walk in the door and not report to anybody and just kind of live there. Eventually, they're going to say, who's that guy? Somebody's going to look me up, find out I never even stamped my passport to come into the country. They're going to put me in the back of a van. They're going to drive me to a processing facility. And then I'm going to be on the next plane home. It's simply the way it works. And the people in Costa Rica who heard these U.S. athletes understand that. And so they scratch their head a little bit and say, why are they so upset about America deporting people who are there illegally? And it just kind of makes them wonder. And by the way, in China, Russia, so many countries around the world, so many millions and billions of people don't even have the right. If they, like I said before, if they went over to the Olympics competing for their country and said disparaging things about said country, they would be in huge trouble when they showed up back home. And they may be just straight up disappeared from society for having done something so offensive to the nation that they're there to represent. So I would just like to remind these, young kids that are over there competing that, yes, you have a big stage now. You've been elevated to a new level of fame that you may never have thought even possible. Use it wisely to support your country and to effect change that matters, that is real. That is not some made-up baloney, Try to affect something that is genuine. When you talk about gay rights in America, there are gay, lesbian people all over the world that would love to come to America for the freedom that they would enjoy versus the country they live in. Think of the entire Middle East, most of Africa, huge parts of Asia, where sure it's allowed, but it's frowned on, or in other places it's straight up illegal, and in some places it's a capital punishment to be gay. And then to get on the world stage and say, gosh, America's gonna, our gay people are being slaughtered in the streets, they're being killed, they're being systematically, annihilated. And it's like, what? You hear that and you think, what are you talking about? Are you insane? You're talking on a global platform at this point. It's one thing to have these American ideas living in a bubble in America where you never have really looked at the rest of the world or considered it. You can't even name. You're competing against 5 countries in this next event. Can you find them on a map? If I give you a map, can you point to all 5 of the countries that you're going to be competing against in the 6-man sprint that you're in next? And if you can't, then I beg to ask you, are you even in a position to criticize America when you have no idea what the rest of the world is like or how they live, what rights they have, what rights they don't have? America is the only country in the world that has the freedom of speech embedded in our First Amendment. No other country has that. England brags, well, we came up with it first, though, but you never implemented it. You implemented versions of it, but you're locking up 30 people a day, thousands of people a year for posts on social media. We have a lot of things going on here in America, and the rest of the world knows it. It's why so many people want to come here if they could. If given an opportunity and said, here's $25,000, would you get on the next plane to go to America, and here's a passport, you're there forever? They would take it in a heartbeat. They would set up shop over here, work as hard as they could, start a small business, and they would become very, very wealthy and successful over time. Don't kid yourself. People would come here and take it as an opportunity that many kids today just never even reach for. They don't care about. They grow up today and they say they're defeated. They come out of college and say, wow, I'm $75,000, $100,000, $200,000 in debt. And what do I have for it? I'm not getting job offers for $40,000, $50,000. I'm getting potential leads to a barista position at a Starbucks around the corner. How am I going to pay off my debt with that? But it's all par for the course, folks. It's all par for the course. America's a tough place nowadays. It really is. I'm not going to say it isn't. But it's also the land of opportunity. It's the land where if you sacrifice today for tomorrow, your tomorrow will be a better day. Every day if you sacrifice and save and save and save and sacrifice and save and work hard, your life will improve exponentially over time. It starts with smaller incremental, betterments, but eventually you get a critical mass. And, maybe it's because you put in, $1,000 a month into your IRA for as long as you could, or whatever it is. And suddenly that investment gets to a point where the dividends are close to paying you way more than you even put in there. I was putting $1,000 in forever. Now my dividends are like $5,000 a month, and the $1,000 I'm adding to that almost seems insignificant. What? I don't even need to invest in this thing anymore. I can now take that $1,000 and just live off it, or whatever. Put it towards a car or something, a vacation. Who knows? Whatever you want to do, you're now reaching a point that takes time. It takes effort. It takes commitment, dedication, and sacrifice. But you get to that point eventually if you stay on the course. It's just how life works, man. And you think it takes a lot longer than it does when you live your life. If you think back 10 years ago where you were, it doesn't seem that far. If you look forward 10 years, it seems like a long time. If you look forward a week and think of 7 days, that's quite a long time. But man, it snaps by faster than you can blink. And so putting off the rewards, putting them forward, is a big, valuable lesson you're going to learn in life, and how to, succeed and how to, better yourself. So anyway, I don't want to get too off course, but I did want to talk about what's going on with the Olympics, because it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. And I wish Americans all the best. And I hope we come out of this with more golds than any other countries combined. But at the same time, I think it's important that we all understand why we're celebrating America at this point. It's our 250th anniversary this year as a country, which is a huge, beautiful thing, man. We're going to be celebrating all year. It's going to be a huge, huge thing to watch this year unfold and all of the amazing, amazing events that our country has planned for us to come together around one thing, and that is our love for America that we all share. And if you don't have a love for America, you just need to think about it a little bit. You just need to think about it and sit back and wonder why you hate it so much. Well, it was founded by slaves. Oh, yikes, man. You want to go back to 1700 and start talking about, moral values to people in a country 250 years removed from our own? An entire different psyche. And everything was so vastly different then that you can't even compare it to how far we've come with our rights and whatnot today. Yet what they wrote is one of the most brilliant pieces of governance that has ever been created on Earth. Hands down. And there's a reason why countries are so afraid to try it, because we are the Constitution that awards rights to the people and limits the government. Almost every other constitution on the planet mandates what the government must do and limits people's rights against it. And so it's flipped on its head. And you have to kind of understand how the Constitution works from that perspective. It's once you understand that, you realize why it's so special, why it's so different, why it was so successful. Because we're always saying to the government, stop, stop, stop. You can't do that. That's why it's so hard to get any legislation passed, They all complain about it, but it's a feature, a bug. It's a feature. You don't want the legislation bill to just pass laws willy-nilly, because then they start negating rights. They add 25 seats to the Supreme Court. They redistrict everything. My Lord, look what Virginia just did this week. They just proposed a new district that would be, 9 Democrat, 1 Republican in the entire state of Virginia. They just plopped every single Republican county into one district and then split up everything else that's Democrat into 9. It's shockingly biased and weighted. And Virginia, man, they are going off the deep end as fast as they can. Watch what Virginia is doing over the last month to the next few months, and understand that that's exactly what would happen to the United States if the MAGA movement loses power. They would just go back and reinstate everything Joe Biden did and cancel everything Donald Trump did. And Donald Trump's accomplishments so far have been mind-boggling, just shockingly good on so many levels. I mean, I saw a list today from Joe Hoft of some of the things Donald Trump has done, and it just goes on and on and on. Wayne Allen Root constantly says that Donald Trump does more in a week than almost any president in the past has done in 2 terms. And I believe it. The guy doesn't sleep. He's just a machine out there getting it done, so to speak. So let's talk about who could have been in charge had we not had Donald Trump win. And it's Kamala Harris, man. She came out with a quote here. Let me play some of this. It's ridiculous.
People have to understand that when we're talking about voter ID laws, be clear about who you have in mind and what would be required of them to prove who they are. Of course, people have to prove who they are, but not in a way that makes it almost impossible for them to prove who they are.
Yes, we almost had that woman as our president. Of course, people have to prove who they are, but not in a way that makes it almost impossible for them to prove who they are. She started she had a big announcement. I think it was Monday. She came out, in the next 24 hours, it's going down. I got the biggest news in the world. And she announced her new campaign room or war room or whatever you want to call it, where she's going to be all up in the midterm elections and she's going to make a difference and she's going to start it all. And she named it campaign _ 67. Campaign 67. Because the 6-7 thing was really, really cool with, the 3rd and 4th grade set, 5th grade. Pardon me. Nobody else really understood it. The parents were annoyed by it. I imagine even older brothers and sisters were a little annoyed at it after a while because it's dumb. The whole 6-7 thing was idiotic, stupid. And it was talking about some basketball player who was 6'7", but he was only like so-so. He wasn't that good. And so it's kind of an expression for meh, 6'7". Was it good? It was all right. It was 6'7". And so for her campaign to latch onto that is so moronic. It's saying we're like the campaign that is meh, so-so. And the 6-year-olds who made up and laughed so hard at that 6-7 thing understand that. Right? That's their core audience, apparently. I don't know. And even that group of kids said, hey, man, this thing's outdated. The 6-7 thing, you're really going with this? So they changed it. And a hot take, they changed it overnight to 6-8. Campaign 6-8. Which, of course, makes no sense either. Again, the train wreck that we dodged with this lady, this Kamala Harris lady, is just full on ridiculous. I can't even stress to you enough, folks, how much better of a place America is in right now because we got Donald Trump instead of this haggard old Indian woman. Is she Indian, though? Or is she black? I don't know. No one knows. No one knows. Why even ask? I think it's racist to even ask. But, yeah, it's beautiful to see Donald Trump doing what he's doing. Now, let's also talk about Ted Cruz. He had a really interesting session the other day with the head of Netflix. And he asked him straight out, are we right now on stolen land? And the CEO of Netflix said, I have no idea the history of this land. Discovery executive Bruce Campbell from Warner Brothers. Nor do I. I have no idea the history of America. These Warner Brothers and Netflix CEOs are on the stand explaining to Congress that they don't understand anything. I have no idea of the history of this land, Washington, D.C. Well, it was part of England. It was a colony of England. And then the colony freed itself and declared after a bit of time that Washington would be its capital. It was stolen possibly. Did England steal it from the natives? Did some settlers before even England got involved steal it? Who stole it? And then somebody stole it from them, and someone stole it from them, and then the American revolutionaries stole it from the British. So when they say stolen land, like, are they talking about England? Are they talking about the natives? At what point do you make sense of all this stuff? The stolen land stuff. Billie Eilish came out, talked about it as well at the Grammys. How can I sit here on stolen? And they're coming after her because she's got a $3 million home on land that she just admitted was stolen. That's a problem for her. It's not a me problem. That's a her problem. But it just makes me sick. What piece of land on this planet wasn't quote-unquote stolen at some point in time? Was England stolen? That's been around for a long time. France? Was Africa stolen? What country in Africa was stolen? Every one of them? None of them? Or are they all just arbitrary modern, inventions? Every land on this planet is disputed at some point in history. It's all been fought over, back and forth, and ruled by many different people all throughout history, time and time and time again, folks. There's no such thing as non-stolen land, as purified land. I mean, okay, Antarctica. The exact South Pole has probably never been fought over, in any real meaningful way, at least. I'm sure it has in UN back rooms, but no meaningful way. But other than that, everything that's lived in out there at some point has been claimed, disputed, stolen, whatever, you name it. Nothing is pure like that. There is no virgin land on this planet. But, folks, on that note, we're going to take a break. Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. We'll be right back after these messages.
All right, we're on radio break.
All right.
See if I can bring in Willie.
I'm going to copy this.
I sent it to him earlier in Facebook, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to do it in a way he can understand it.
Yeah. Hoping that he would see it too, because I tagged him in the show earlier. He didn't put anything back, so.
Okay. Okay, I just sent him a text and explained to him that we are on break right now.
Yeah, get in, right?
Yeah, hop on in.
Oh, boy. I didn't get the call. Oh,
that's such a long weekend, man.
Try calling him again.
I'm absolutely fucking beat right now.
Want me to bring Sonya in, just in case?
No, I think Willie should be able to figure this out.
I'm hoping. She said hi, by the way, earlier.
Well, hi. I mean, if she wants to come in, she can come in. You'd probably love to talk to her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love me some Sonya.
What was that? Did you post a link or something?
No, I asked Sonya if she wanted to come on, and then she went unavailable. I mean, well. Uh-oh. Who do we got here coming?
All right, Willie's in the lobby.
Yep, there he is.
He's all right. He's like, here's your link. Like,
hey, buddy.
Dumbass.
Here's your link.
Yeah, Mark sent me the link. He's like, here's your link.
Yeah,
like, you idiot.
Yeah, here's your link.
Now, Willie, you owe me one, because this is an extra 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, about that, you owe me $4.33.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I know.
Her show for the last, 5-7 years. It's all good.
Years,
it's
only been 2 years.
Money. Hey, what about Jeffrey Epstein is Satoshi? Have you heard that one?
He's Satoshi? No, I have not.
Yeah,
would be funny.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Anyways, 3, 2, 1, and you're live right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show, Sunday night edition. And with me tonight, of course, I've got the Dapper Dan, the man himself, Willie Lee. How are you, Willie?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. And you were talking to the break that Jeffrey Epstein is actually Satoshi.
Yeah, well, like, he is the actual creator of Bitcoin and SHIB and all these other cryptocurrencies, but he is the creator of Bitcoin.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Had you not heard that?
No, I never have. Not until this very moment.
See, and the thing of it is I depend on you, specifically you, to know these sort of things. See, I bring up the topic, and then you're supposed to explain it to me like you know what's going on already.
Yeah, well, this one I haven't. Now, I have seen a couple headlines and some clips here and there about Jeffrey Epstein is alive and well living in Israel.
Well, yeah, I mean, that goes without saying.
Okay.
Of course he's alive and well. Everybody knows that.
Oh, he didn't kill himself. We know that much.
Yeah, right. Let me see if I can look up this article, Bitcoin Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, it's like one of those things that I saw in passing, but didn't really go into it.
Yeah, well, again, I've seen nothing about this, and I find it, Satoshi could be anybody, right? Jeffrey Epstein, I don't know. Maybe it explains some things. I don't know, but I doubt it. I mean, was he a very, very early adapter of Bitcoin? That's very likely. That could be very likely.
Well, all I know is he owes me a bunch of money because I've lost a bunch of money on crypto.
Oh, you have? Oh, boy, Willie, you've been doing it wrong. You've lost.
What I need
buddy.
to do is take. Excuse me, I got a cold. I'm not feeling real good. But in any case, what I need is a manager. Willie needs a manager, so he can take his show on the road. We can go cross country, and we can be funny all over the place. I need somebody to build.
Do they have to do anything?
Yeah, they got to build my website and take care of my merchandise and sell my or not my, but Willie's underwear.
They actually have to sell it? Do they have to package it?
Yeah, everything.
Ugh.
I mean, Willie will provide the underwear.
That could be that's a stretch to have somebody who's not only willing to do all the computer work and able to do all that, the design, the marketing. I mean, that's a job unto itself, but you also need them to fold and package chumderwear.
Well, yeah, and, put the corn in it and everything. It takes a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort.
Anyway, moving on. I don't think anyone in the world would want that job, Willie. I really don't.
No, but moving on, let me ask you something else. And there again, excuse me, I got the coughs going on. But what about this whole thing with the video that Donald Trump posted that was supposedly racist? That video came out months and months and months ago, and apparently someone on his staff posted this video to his Truth Social or X account or something or another. Have you seen that?
Well, it was a video. Apparently, the way I understand it, it was a video talking about immigration or something. And at the end of it, it didn't clip, it auto-played into the next video, and they caught the first 2 frames of it or something.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought they played the entire video, and actually the video was depicting how Washington was a swamp, or not a swamp, but a jungle. And they showed a bunch of Democrats, and their heads were placed on different animals.
Video, the one that came out so many months ago, right?
What's that?
That's the separate video that came out many months ago that you're talking about. Yeah, it's a jungle, and that has all the politicians as different, from the Lion King.
Yeah, and just now, it came out and it showed Obama and Michelle and Barack Obama's head on, one was on a monkey, the other was on a gorilla or something like that, and supposedly it was racist, and
Hmm.
supposedly Donald Trump said he didn't know anything about it. It was posted by one of his staffers, but I didn't know if they just played like that one particular section or if they played the whole video.
No, the video that was posted to Donald Trump's Truth account, which, again, he claimed not to know about, but whatever. It's Steven Crowder did a big thing about it where he just kind of laughed it off and, made it into one big funny joke that they were so ticked off. Um, it's, he posted it or somebody on his team posted it to their Truth account, right? And yeah, he came out and said, I don't really know anything about it, whatever. And then they took it down later. But it's being held as proof positive that he's, racist for sure. So he's got that going for him. It's, yet another, we got him, folks. We got him. We got him. But is it,
I mean, it's another case where, racism is kept alive and kept in the limelight, and it's all about, racism. And there's a lot of money to be made in racism. I mean, you got people like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and, a whole bunch of others that are making money off of being racist. And this whole thing that's going on with all these riots around the country and everything, it's all about division. It's about divide and conquer.
Mm-hmm. It sure is. And it's a, how do I put it? Brent Hamachek calls it team left and team right. You've got two teams that are on this sort of battlefield, and then there's all these sort of squadrons, right, that each go out in their own sort of, I want abortion, I want gun rights, I want this, I want that. And they all have their hills they're willing to die on, so to speak, their most important issues.
Right.
And so it's all those teams kind of squabbling on different actual battlegrounds simultaneously. And how some of them can get crazy over the top and others just, keep pushing. But, again, we were talking about the left and how it just kind of goes down this hole forever. And it just gets to the point where there's nothing left. What do you do? What's the next step after you say, hey, we want to be able to mutilate children and give them sex-altering drugs in their early teens? What's next after that? Where do you go next? That was a question.
Yeah. Hey, I don't have all the answers. As a matter of fact, you know what? I don't know anything. The only thing I know is basically, I mean, you get all this information and, you hear this and you hear that and you hear the other thing. And then, you come to the point where you don't know what to believe. It's just like, with all the Epstein files and everything, it's like, this person's getting implicated and the other person's getting implicated and they've got this and they've got that. And, this testimony and hearsay and conjecture and speculation and so-and-so said this and so-and-so said that. And you don't know what to believe exactly. And what I'm looking at and tell me I'm wrong because I'm sure a lot of people think I'm wrong. I haven't even seen any evidence that Epstein himself has done anything wrong. I mean, I haven't seen. I'm not saying that he hasn't, okay? As a matter of fact, I'm sure that he has. I'm sure Trump has done things wrong. I'm sure Clinton has done things wrong. But all I'm seeing is a bunch of allegations and a bunch of innuendo and a whole bunch of hearsay that so-and-so said this and so-and-so said that. But on a personal level, I haven't seen any concrete evidence of anything saying that anybody has done anything wrong. I mean, where is the actual proof?
Yeah.
Where are the videos? Where are the files? They talk about these 2 million, files that have been released and everything, but I'm really not seeing any there.
I got to say, I can look at Hunter Biden's laptop and I can say, wow, I've seen evidence that guy's done some really illegal stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there is no Epstein laptop that I'm aware of. There's just like you say, a lot of allegations. We, assume that they're all true, but yeah, to be fair, I've never seen the deep files, the nasty stuff of what really went on that island. We just assume it's all what we've been told it is, which is just the most heinous of heinous. But I know it's out there. I know if you dig deep enough in the dark web, you'll find some pretty brutal stuff that is just not being indexed. It's not going to be served up to just about anybody, because it's just too illegal to even look at.
See, and that's where
there is evidence, of course, from Guthrie, and there is evidence, from people that like Guthrie, right? She was it Virginia? She committed suicide a few years back and wrote a tell-all book and everything. And she testified in court about all kinds of different things that happened, and that's been corroborated. So there are cases out there that have corroborated and proven certain amounts of guilt on certain levels, but to the highest levels that we talk about, have I seen evidence to those types of things? Killing kids in cold blood and drinking their blood or anything? Yeah, it's all completely innuendo. Now, do you doubt it? That's the question, right? Does it kind of add up that, they would be doing some weird stuff in there? Yeah, you don't doubt it. But that's why you're here, Willie. I'm here to explain this to you. If you don't know something, just ask me.
Yeah, exactly. See, we depend on you and people like you to be in the know. You need to be like Daddy. I can go to Daddy and I can say, hey, man, tell me about this and tell me about that. And you're supposed to have all the answers.
But yeah, that's why you're here.
All right, so tell me this. When is Hillary and Bill supposed to testify in front of the Congressional Committee? When is that going to happen?
I don't have that information in front of me at this second. I could Google it, but I'd rather not do that while we're live on the air. I can tell you that I as I recall, it's very soon. And they're demanding, the Clintons are actually demanding that it will be, out in the public and televised, whereas it's supposed to be behind closed doors, but on the record and, recorded and whatnot. So I don't think we're going to see it. And I think they want that because they can't really ask them the brutal stuff if it's all on the air. If it's all out in the open, they can't ask the non-disclosed, the top secret type questions. They can only ask them what the public can also see. So it's interesting, but I think that'll come out in the next week or so, but we won't hear much about what happens in there because it'll be behind closed doors. It won't be a transcript. There won't be, those types of things. Some leaks, of course, will come out, but not much. And you can't put much credit into the leaks because they're leaked for a reason, to give one side's perspective on one side of an argument.
Well, so even at that, do you think there will be any accountability whatsoever? I mean, it's like every time you turn around, you see, this politician and that politician doing this and that and the other thing, and there's never any accountability. I mean, we don't have any accountability as far as what happened in Benghazi. We don't have any accountability about the 33,000 emails that Hillary Clinton deleted. We don't have any accountability way back as far as 9/11. You know what? We all know, and I know Cash Patel's listening right now, we all know that 9/11 was a big, huge hoax and that there were a lot of players in the game that weren't mentioned. And we know who those players are, but nobody wants to.
9/11 was a hoax.
Well, no, I mean, it actually happened, but the storyline behind it.
Good. I'm glad to hear you admit to that.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, the entire thing was, it was a false flag and a black swan event, right?
I don't know that. I mean, you think the government did it?
Oh, wait a minute. Is this not the Art Bell show?
No, this is the Censorshipsucks Roundtable radio show.
Oh, I thought we were on, I thought this was Art Bell. My bad, man. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I push back a little now and then. But, I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff behind 9/11, but I hate to give it too much air. especially after, 25 years?
Well,
It
no, I
would have,
mean,
we'd know about this stuff more definitively if it was, if it was as complicit as, some people suggest,
the thing
right?
about it is, though, is we get these news stories, and it's one news story after another news story. And this week it's going to be one thing, and next week it's going to be something else, and the next week it's going to be something else, and next year, and 5 years from now, and 10 years from now, and there's never ever any accountability, and that's the part
Yeah.
that
Oh,
gets
yeah, yeah.
me.
Yeah.
It's like, you can look back to the Gulf of Tonkin affair that happened in Vietnam, which never happened, but that was a catalyst for getting us into Vietnam, for example. We know now
Hmm.
that the Gulf of Tonkin affair never happened, but that was catalyst for getting us into the war. The entire thing with, Pearl Harbor getting us into World War II. We know now that that was all pre-planned and predetermined. We know the events of the USS Liberty in 1967, where one of our ships got destroyed by someone who was supposedly friendly to us. There was never any accountability. And you hear these storylines that go on and on and on and on. The whole thing with the, what was it, the Murrah building in Oklahoma? What was the name of that building? Was it Murrah? And the
Oh,
whole thing
gosh.
with, Terry Nichols and Timothy
Yeah, the federal
McVeigh.
building there.
Yeah, and we all know that all of that was purposely perpetrated. That was an inside job. We know it.
Mm.
We heard the story back then. We know what the storyline was, and then it was all
Uh-huh.
forgotten about. And nobody cares. There's no accountability whatsoever.
Well, we just had James O'Keefe do an undercover interview with, a senior FBI official who said there would be nothing coming out of Minnesota. Nothing. It's just not on anyone. It's not on anyone's prerogative or prerogative to go after these guys. There's too much downside politically to try to do something about it. So they're all going to walk. And do I think really that they're going to come down hard on anybody in Minnesota? California, we're finding out, is worse than Minnesota and Minneapolis. Orange County is insane, the amount of fraud that they're turning up there all of a sudden. They start looking into it, and a week later you start seeing these massive numbers. Will anyone go to jail over it? No. I mean,
Yeah,
Eric Swalwell is clearly not eligible to be running for the governor of California. Clearly. In no world is Eric Swalwell legally allowed to run for governor of California, yet they will let him. Because nobody cares.
Is he going to run against Gavin Newsom or?
No, Gavin Newsom is term limited.
Okay.
So he wants to run for president. And so, yeah, they'll just put Swalwell out there as the lead, and he'll probably win. But yet he doesn't have any residency in California. You need to be a resident of the state for 5 years prior to the election to run. And he does not have that. He's a resident of Washington, D.C. He does not live in California, nor has he for many years. And he doesn't have a home there. He doesn't have an address there, nothing. So it's funny. They'll let him run.
The crime, the
why not?
corruption, the fraud, it all runs deep. They're having the same issues in Ohio, in Maine, in Vermont, with, a lot of people coming in from, foreign countries that have been shipped in there for the sole purpose of voting, quote unquote, their people into office. You look at Dearborn, Michigan right now, right up next to Detroit, it's all Muslim, and they're voting Muslims in, and it's, I hate to say it, but what they want to do is they want to take over. They want Sharia law, and you've got certain states that have outlawed Sharia law.
Yeah, they've got Sharia law there. I mean, in Dearborn, you don't deal with the court system. If there's an issue in the community, it goes to the community. And even most of the cops, I bet, would understand that. Like if they come to a crime scene and the local mosque is there, they can just walk away. Nothing to worry about. They've got this handled, and the mosque will take care of it. They can discipline people. They can let them go. They can do whatever they want. It's their legal system, and that's a big part of Islam is the legal system it involves. It is more than just a religion. It is a political system as well. And That's the tricky part. In America, we're going to have to define that and say, yes, freedom of religion, but you can't bring your politics and make this a theocracy. That's the trick. We can never become a theocracy. We've got a constitution. We've got the laws. No. Freedom of religion, when they wrote it, just meant which brand of Christianity. You can pick any one.
Well, I mean, there's supposed to be a concrete separation between church and state, right?
Yeah, well, that comes from some paper. It's not in the Constitution or anywhere. The separation of church and state. It was written by someone in that letter, a theory, but it's been taken to heart by many people, by most people. It sounds good to just about everybody, but it's not really written in stone anywhere in our Constitution.
But isn't that what they use to base the taking prayer out of schools on?
Sure. The concept of that, but again, it's something that a lot of people agree on, but don't necessarily, it's not a law. There's nowhere that you're going to find that in the Constitution written as law.
Well, where does that come from?
Again, I would, if you want to Google it while I'm talking, you can, but I don't want to Google stuff while I'm live on the air. I find it, it just takes away from the professionalism of doing live radio to, if we have a producer or someone in the background who could do that kind of stuff, that's different. But, we're just not at that level of radio quite yet. But
is that a hint?
State, yeah, it's a thing.
Was that a hint?
Well, we thought you were AWOL, Mark.
You can't. I can't be AWOL if you're on the air, right?
Yeah, well, you could be doing duties otherwise.
Well, I did get up and got a cup of coffee. I went to the bathroom and things like that. But I'm back. I'm monitoring the whole situation.
Well, tell us all about separation of church and state and where that comes from.
Yeah, you look it up and I'll tell you about it.
Yeah, again, Willie, we try not to, go down directions where someone's going to need to, look up something while we're live on the air. Again, it just makes it for a little bit more difficult to have a good flow of the radio. But I diverge. Let's see what else we got here.
Church and state is a foundational U.S. constitutional principle derived from the First Amendment's Establishment Clause, which prohibits government from establishing an official religion or unduly favoring one. It creates a wall of separation to protect religious freedom and prevent state interference in religious matters. The concept is enforced by the Supreme Court, ensuring government neutrality toward religion. So there's that.
I'm glad you got the link I sent you.
But if you go back to the beginning of that,
the phrase originates from Thomas Jefferson's 802 letter. And no, Mark, I had to Googleize this myself. Thank you very much. The phrase originates from Thomas Jefferson's 1802 letter though the concept was earlier promoted by Roger Williams. It arose from Enlightenment ideals in opposition to state-sponsored churches, blah, 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 blah.
But if you go back to the beginning of that, they say it's a constitutional concept, right? They don't say it's a law or whatever. They just say it's a concept that came from parts of the Constitution. So, like I was saying, it's not in the Constitution. It's a concept derived from, different parts of it. And Thomas Jefferson wrote a letter, as I mentioned, that came from someone in a letter. I didn't know it was Thomas Jefferson, so I didn't want to say so, but I kind of suspected it. But, so there you go. Yeah, it's like we're talking about, separation of church and state. Anyway, we got 2 minutes left. Don't you want to plug any products or?
Yeah, no, I'm just here for filler. This is me trying to help you.
Oh, filler. You think I need filler or something?
Hey.
I just tried to bump you up tonight. Instead of doing your show in the second hour, I wanted you to do it in the second half of the first hour.
Hey, I make a better Willie than I do with me.
Yeah, you do. Much better
Does
Willie.
that make any sense to you?
Yeah,
See,
flat Earth.
my main goal is for you not to ask me back on the show again outside of being Willie.
Okay, well, I didn't ask you tonight outside of being Willie.
I want to be aggravating. I want to be a nuisance to you as much as I possibly can.
That's what I signed up for, and I get this instead. I get you trying to be serious and Google actual concepts of you know.
Hey, this is groundbreaking, interesting stuff, man.
It is. It is. You use Google tonight. People know you can actually use Google. That's groundbreaking.
Well, yeah, how about that? We can talk about Everson versus the Board of Education, 1947, where the court affirmed that the separation, blah, 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 of church and state exists.
We got about 15 seconds left, so we don't want to dive too deep into that. Folks,
no, you
thank you so much for listening out there in Radio Land.
Hold on here. You know, you're doing a shorter show tonight, so you get an extra 2 minutes.
Oh.
No, I'm not going to let you get away with shorten it more. All right.
We got 2 more minutes to fill. What do you want to do? All right. Well, then.
Well, you forgot to plug yourself there, CS. How to get a hold of you and all that other good stuff, and some of the other folks who are normally on the show. You could do that too.
All right, I've got a very awkward amount of time to fill here. I can't really open up a new article here. All right, Trump RX. Folks, go check out TrumpRx.com. It is a new website Donald Trump has put together with Dr. Mehmet Oz. And it's a place where you can get your drugs way, way, way cheaper. They don't sell them there directly. It's a site that will direct you out to other places where you can actually purchase directly from the suppliers, from the pharmaceutical companies. But we're talking 80-90% off what you're probably paying right now. So before you just call up Walmart for your next prescription, go check out Trump RX. It is phenomenal. It's a game changer, and it will save billions and billions and billions of dollars to the American people over the next so many years. Heck, over the next so many months, it'll save billions of dollars. This is a game changer, folks. And on that note, we're going to take off. Willie, thank you so much for coming on.
It was my pleasure.
All right. Folks, thank you so much for listening. This has been the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show Special Edition, and we will see you on Wednesday night.